So this is the first in a series of videos that will be looking at QSR NVivo version 10 and how we can use it to analyse a range of different forms of qualitative data. If you've never used NVivo before, this is the screen that will greet you when you first open the program, and you'll see we have a number of options down the side. We can create a new project, open an existing project, access the help files, and you'll also see a list of recently accessed projects down there at the bottom. If you've never used NVivo before, you'll find this list will be empty apart from environmental change down east, which is the demonstration project, and this is really useful for novice researchers to familiarise themselves with the program. I'm going to start today by creating a new project by clicking the New Project button, and this will open up a new dialog. Now, unlike any other program, or most of the programs at least, with NVivo we must first create and save our project before we can start editing it. So I'm going to go and give my project a title. You'll see this will also define where the project is saved. Now, if you're on the university network, this will save on your G drive, but it's always useful to make sure you're directing it to a folder where you'll be able to find it later. As this is just a demonstration, I'm going to save this in my temp folder. As soon as I've done that, I can click OK and it will create a blank project for me. As soon as it loads up, you'll see the NVivo program is now available and all of its full features. And I'm going to really quickly run through each of the areas down the side here, or at least the most common ones that you're going to need. You'll find the first one that's open at the top are your sources, and this is where you're going to be storing your data. In here we have a number of subfolders: internals, externals, memos, and framework matrices. Internals are where files that are stored within the NVivo project are stored, so they're physically stored within your NVivo file. Now, externals are better thought of as proxies. These are proxies to things that we can't put into the NVivo file. So this could be any file format that NVivo doesn't support, or a physical object that you want to refer to and have a proxy reference to it. Memos gives us an option to store any ideas, our field diaries, or any memos about any of the aspects of our project or our research as a whole. Could also be useful if you are actually doing autoethnography and you're journaling as part of that. Finally, you'll see we have the framework matrices option, which is kind of a way for us to cross-tabulate qualitative data. All of this will be covered in a different video. This is just an outline really of what it will look like. Within our nodes, it's the area that we can store all of the themes within our project that we may discover, as well as our case nodes. So these are useful ways that we can monitor, divide and classify different aspects of our project, such as a question or even what an individual person has said. You'll see in here we can also specify relationships. There's a number of different relationships you can have between aspects of data, and you can then define them within here, connecting one thing to another. That can be a source to a source, a theme to a theme, a node to a theme. Anything really can be connected with these, and it's very useful for when we're modeling. Finally, within nodes, you'll see we have the node matrices option, and this will enable you to cross-tabulate actual data. It will count up how many times a particular theme appears within a set context. The last option that I'm going to look at in this video are classifications, and this essentially enables us to assign metadata to different parts of our project. And you can see there are three different types of metadata that we can define. We have our source classifications. These enable us to classify a particular source, so we can say NVivo, this file is an interview, or NVivo, this file is a photograph. So we can then later search on those different metadata, and it helps us organize our project as well and keep everything in one place. Next up, we have node classifications, and these really come in with our case nodes. So we can apply a classification to a node, such as a person or an organization, and in doing so we can assign metadata to that. So I could create a participant within my project, say Carl for example, and I could then assign metadata to Carl. I could say Carl is male, Carl works in higher education. Carl has a bachelor's degree in computer science, and it enables me to then apply those attributes essentially to everything that Carl has said. And that's really useful when we're later querying our data. The last option you'll see up here is relationship types, and this enables us to define different kinds of relationships that we might want to link different aspects of data to. So one common example is we could create different kinds of relationships for human interactions. So I could specify relationships such as parent, marriage, child, and link participants together with that, and that could be quite useful for anyone who's doing a genealogy. Now, that is the first 3 tabs of NVivo, and I realise there's nothing to really see in this video because we've not added anything, but I think it's useful to familiarise yourself with the layout of the program, and in later videos we'll look in much more detail as to how we can actually start using these functions and how we can get some data in here.